The individual character design of Deadlock is very rich. In Warhammer, there are so many gods. We have Chaos gods, we have the Emperor of Mankind, while in Deadlock, there are only 2 gods. At least right now, there are 2 gods. I think Valve is secretly cooking with the world building. So let's start with the scale first of all. This is the main difference of Warhammer and Deadlock. The scale of Warhammer is massive. It encompasses millions or even billions of galaxies. There are so many different gods, and each god seems to have rule over so many galaxies. So the scale of Warhammer is insanely big, which is the complete opposite of Deadlock, which only covers 2 planets, Ixia and Earth. And also, if you look at the gameplay, it covers even smaller part of it, which is just Cursed Apple, which is just a part of New York. So the scale of Deadlock is very, very small, but it has its own advantages. The individual character design of Deadlock is very rich, right? Like there is so much variety, and all character designs are very unique in Deadlock, right? Which is unfortunately not possible in Warhammer. Let's take Titus, for example. He's one of my favorite characters. If you look at him, the character design of Titus is very similar to any other Space Marine, because Titus belongs to a faction which is Space Marines, and all the Space Marine wear the similar uniform. So basically what happened is, because the scale is so big, the character designs of individual character is tied down to the faction they are fighting as. Now, is that a bad thing? I don't think so. Space Marines are super cool, dude. So, and not only them, Necrons are also super cool. And even though, all the Necrons look very similar, all the Space Marines look very similar, it does not take away from the badassness from Space Marines or Warhammer in general. But I'm just telling you that there is a difference, because the scale is so big, individual character design is not possible in Warhammer, while in Deadlock, because the scale is so small, Valve can put so much work, or at least they have so much freedom for individual character. So yeah, this is about character designs. Let's actually talk about the gods. And also, if you're enjoying this video, consider liking or subscribing. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and again, I would be genuinely thankful if you can support me in any way possible. But yeah, let's get back to the video. In Warhammer, there are so many gods. We have Chaos gods, we have the Emperor of Mankind. Even though he's not technically a god, there are so many gods in Warhammer, and it makes sense because the scale, as I've already talked about before, is very, very big. While in Deadlock, there are only 2 gods. At least right now, there are 2 gods, which is Archmother and Hidden King, and they are not gods. These are called the patrons, and it seems they have the power to grant wishes. And again, very similar to Warhammer, where all the gods are fighting against each other. Here in Deadlock also, we have a fight between Hidden King and Archmother, and this fight is what these patrons call as the ritual. And this is where the scale and character design also shines really well. In Deadlock, each character that are fighting for a patron, they are fighting because they have an individual reason. Lady Geist, for example, she has Oathkeeper trapped in her arm and she wants to get rid of him. So that is her motivation to fight for a patron. So individual characters have their own motivation. So I'm just basically saying that there is a lot of character agency. These characters have a lot of freedom. They can just choose to not fight for the patrons at all. That is something they can actually do. While in Warhammer, if you are elected to fight, let's say you are enlisted in Space Marines, of course that is not going to happen in night or something. You have to earn your way to Space Marines. But let's imagine you did get there, then you have to fight for the Emperor. Like, there is no other way out. So the character freedom in both these media is completely different. And not only the gods, in the general lore of Warhammer, military and battles are one of the most important things, but religion is also one of the core points in Warhammer. And here in Deadlock, even though it is not upfront, there is a hidden power that is rising when we are looking from a religious point of view. How is the church evolving in Deadlock? The first and the most obvious answer by looking is Venator. Venator is a part of the Saint of Vaticans, which is a separate division in the church which basically tackles monsters. So these are fighter priests that are not only, they are father, they are a priest, but they have the license, I guess, to legally kill a monster. So church, in this world is evolving in a very interesting method, right? And not only that, if you question the idea that magic exists in Deadlock, then so many things actually feel valid. The first and the most important thing is Vindicta. Vindicta was killed because she was deemed as a witch, and she was killed in Salem witch trials. The people in that era were afraid of witch and dark magics and all of that. But now when you think about it, magic exists. Now the thing is, they did a bad thing by killing people. Of course, that's a very bad thing. But was the fear valid, right? Like, again, I think Deadlock has a very interesting philosophical question. The fact that magic exists, does it mean all the atrocities, sorry about the word, but whatever bad things that happened previously because of the fear of magic, were they not valid? So yeah, Deadlock and Warhammer has amazing world buildings and amazing lore. Now the thing is, Deadlock has a very vague lore right now, but I'm not going to complain because the game itself is in a pre-alpha stage. So of course, the lore is going to be vague. There are still so many things that are not good in Deadlock, but the general foundation of what Valve has done is insane. So I'm not going to be surprised, or at least I hope in the future they reveal more about the lore. That is what I'm actually very much interested in. But yeah, both Warhammer and Deadlock are great in their own way. And this entire scope thing with Deadlock kind of reminds me of Attack on Titan. If you don't know, Attack on Titan started with a village, and then the scope slowly started increasing, and it genuinely blew my mind. The ending of Attack on Titan was one of the best. So if you don't know, not technically a spoilers, but at the beginning of Attack on Titan, we viewed Titans as these mindless monsters that eat humans. But as the story progressed, we eventually realized the true nature of Titans, why Titans even exist. So I think Valve can actually do same kind of thing, where we only have 2 planets right now, but as the story progresses, we will know more about who these patrons are, and maybe there will be new astral gates, and these astral gates connect to new planets. Again, that is absolutely a possibility, right? So the scope is not a problem with Deadlock at all. They can increase it in the future if they want to, but Valve, at least right now, has a huge advantage when it comes to character designs, which they are very much happily leveraging. I think the character designs in Deadlock is one of the best in the industry right now. But yeah, I'm just going to stop. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking or subscribing. And if you want me to talk about anything else, or if I talked wrong about anything, you can correct me about that in the comments. And yeah, I hope to see you in my next video. Take care of your health, sleep well, and bye bye.